the coolest background in all of professional wrestling. He doesn't need too much of an introduction these days. See, man, now I don't know what to call you because you
There's a
were
lot of
the indie
names.
god. You were the indie god.
Yeah.
You just got rid of Zack Ryder, so we can't call you that.
Well, I got rid of Zack Ryder about 4 years ago, but yeah,
but yet
it's been a while.
if we're going off the video, Matt Cardona's dead. Not Matt Cardona. Zack Ryder's dead.
Yep.
And then the end of the video seems like a new name is here.
Yeah, the complete.
So which one am I calling you? The complete Matt Cardona?
Yeah,
Matt
you can call me this, you can call me the complete Matt Cardona. I like the sound of that.
First I got to talk this behind you because my oldest keeps wanting to do a YouTube channel, and he wants to do a YouTube channel based off wrestling action figures and them wrestling each other.
I love that.
Is there a market for this, Matt? Because
100%. 100%. Because there's definitely kids who are into that, and then there's adults like me. I have a YouTube channel myself about wrestling figures, the Major Wrestler Podcast. We do unboxings, we do toy hunts. We have our podcast that drops every Friday. We have our own toy line now. So there's definitely a market for something like that.
See, my wife's been hesitant where I think there's a market. I'm pretty sure there is. I brought up your name. Me and her were having this conversation. So I'm in my office. He's here watching. I don't know what he's watching, but when we're done with this conversation, I'll definitely let him know that he's got a lot of action figures. So I think maybe
there's definitely something to be done there.
But I can't do it like you though. You're the king of wrestling action figures.
Well, I am called the Michael Jordan of wrestling figure collecting.
See, that's going to resonate well here in Chicago. You're just throwing Michael Jordan right out there. PR reached out early in the week, and I sleep late. I got kids. Get up. I take them to school. I don't really look at my phone too much in the morning. So PR reaches out a little late, like early in the morning. I didn't look at it. Looked at it later on, and I'm like, oh, Cardona's got this video. I get sent the link, and are you interested? And I'm like, this is magnificent.
Oh, well, thank you.
And I'm looking at it right now. You're at 2.5 million views.
It's a lot of views.
That is. I got 1.5 million views because I was at the AEW pay-per-view, and it was of Jon Moxley choking Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
And that just exploded. And why now? Because you said in the post that it was you originally wanted this to be the comeback video when you came back from your torn pec.
Right.
Why release this video now and not when you were getting ready to make the return?
Well, full disclosure, because the video wasn't ready.
Hey, there
you go. You want the scoop? There's the scoop. So I get injured in April, and I'm planning all along that I'm going to drop a video the week I come back, and we go back and forth. Me and this guy Kyle Kogan is a fan of the Major Wrestler Podcast. He reached out. He does music videos. He's done a video on Tyson. He wants to make something big for me. I already wanted to do something, so it was just perfect. We collaborated. We thought of ideas for months. We filmed it, I think maybe July-ish. And the plan was, okay, we'll edit it, have it ready August. Last week of August, we'll drop it. Well, it wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? So okay. And now it's like another week goes by and another week. But I mean, if you watch it, you can see why it wasn't ready. This wasn't like somebody filming this on a cell phone, putting it to iMovie like I did back in the day on Z True Long Island Story. Like this is almost, if not movie quality stuff here.
Absolutely.
I dare you to find another wrestling video like this that's produced by someone on their own, not AEW, not WWE. So once we got past, okay, well, it's a week after my comeback. This ain't the let's make sure this is perfect, and I think it is. I think it is perfect. I think it tells the story. So yeah, it's so much more than just my comeback video. It's so much more than my career video. It's my life video. So, and to really answer, why did we drop it a month later? Because like I said, we put so much, it just wasn't ready yet. Yeah. And once we missed the first deadline, we were just perfecting every little clip. Like if you watch this and you pause it, like there are things that you have to like pause to catch. And someone will never notice it, but I notice it. It's there for me, like a little Easter egg for certain people. for all the diehards out there. So we wanted to make everything as perfect as possible. I feel like we hit a home run. And I'd watch this thing. I can't even tell you how many times I watched it before we dropped it. Like I would work out like with headphones on, and it would just be the sound playing over because it get me fired up. You watch it, I think it will fire anybody up. But I was nervous, like, what are the people gonna I love it, it's about me, right? But
Yeah.
what are the people gonna think? And to see 2.5 million views in 2 days, and to see all the people who reshared it and commented on it, it means a lot. And yeah, I hope for a lot of views. I didn't think we were gonna get this much, so I'm very, very happy with it. Where it will lead, I don't know. But the whole reason of the video was I knew when I was coming back, I couldn't just be the deathmatch king or the indie god again. Like, been there, done that. It's time. You got to evolve. And I took the injury. I looked at it as an opportunity for a fresh coat of paint, a little change. And I thought, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to be? And I just thought, like, my whole career, 20 years, highs and lows. Major brothers, Edgeheads, the Broski. The years where I was just lost on the WWE roster. Then the getting released, Deathmatch King, Indie God, all that wrapped into a complete package, the complete
Yeah.
Matt Cardona. So it's all everything that brought me to this point, all wrapped in one. But also it means, like, not to steal from Lex Luger, but I'm the total package. I'm everything. Wrestle, check. Can talk, check. Can move merchandise, check. Can self promote, check. Can connect with the audience, check. So the complete means so much for so many ways.
No offense to Luger, but really wasn't a jerk. I like
I'm a
Luger.
I'm a huge Luger fan, especially when
So
I
am
was a
I.
kid.
So am I. I love Lex. I was a big proponent of the Lex
Yeah.
Express, and
Well, the Lex Express I wasn't a fan of, but pre
oh,
Lex Express, I'm all in.
really? Why were you not a fan? The Lex Express I thought was, even though it whiffed, if we're just be having an honest
Yeah.
conversation, but for that time hadn't been done before, so I thought that it was creative, but just it felt like it was the wrong guy to do it with, and it's not a knockout Lex. It was just too
I think
much post, not enough time had lapsed between Hogan leaving
right.
and
I
his
agree.
time.
I feel like whoever it was, it just felt like Hogan light, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Especially because we're doing the USA.
Oh yeah,
Hogan wasn't wearing the USA, but he's waving the flag all the time.
yeah.
Yeah, it just felt so Hogan, but not Hogan.
Because you go from when he was great in the Horseman, being a heel, had the WCW title, great heel, even coming into WWE, great heel, and then it was like, wait a minute here, this guy was a heel like last week, and now
Right. Like
he's
I love like the
body
narcissist
slamming
stuff.
Yokozuna.
Yeah, yeah. So it was definitely a swerve, which swerves are good in wrestling sometimes. But yeah, it just felt a little forced. Even for me at the time, I must have been 8 years old, and I was like, I'm not really digging this.
Did you ever find a Luger action figure
Like as a kid.
as the USA when he was made in the USA?
Oh, so yeah, so like there was he was supposed to come out like in the Hasbro days, but
Okay.
it never got released. But there was a prototype on eBay a few years ago, a hand painted prototype. It went for like I want to say $8,000, and I got outbid like the last minute, and it's since sold for even more than that.
Holy.
Yeah, because they never actually produced it. It was just a prototype. Yeah, it sold for even more after that. I think it's been to 2 or 3 buyers since.
Man, I'm in the wrong business. This journalist stuff isn't
Hey, listen,
really,
there's a
and
lot
this
of
interview stuff isn't the right thing if I can't sell action
yeah.
figures for 8 grand. That's
Well,
awesome.
I mean, I just sold an Ultimate Warrior figure for I think 11 grand. Yeah. Hey, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of stuff I have that's worth a lot of money. There's stuff I couldn't give away. You know what I'm saying?
What's that one or what are those one or two where, like you just said, this ain't
There's
going
this
nowhere?
this Kamala. He has like a moon on his stomach. I spent 11,000 on that, and that was
Oh wow.
5, 6 years ago. So it's
Okay.
probably a little higher than that. It's pretty much like prototypes, things that never came out or
Okay.
really limited release exclusives that are worth
Mhm.
money. Stuff that was in like Toys R Us
Yeah.
or modern day Target, Walmart. They don't go to those high prices. It's more like the unreleased things, the prototypes, things that were in magazines or at
Mhm.
toy fairs that just never actually came out.
So you look at what's going on with you right now, and I watched the video about 15 times, and I would
15,
kept
thank you.
I got to be thinking, man. I got to be
Yeah.
thinking as a journalist. I got to like you said, I saw some Easter eggs in there that was like, okay, some like little like the thing where you won the IC title at WrestleMania in the ladder match.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like very, I'm like, what was it? I had to go back, pause it real quick. I was like, oh, okay. And my mind's going around because there was a lot of WWE stuff, some AEW stuff, and stuff you're doing on the indies.
Yeah.
And I see comments of like, oh, is this meaning he's going back to WWE? Is he going back to AEW? Is he going to stay on the indies? Is he going to be full time with TNA? What's the goal here? Because, like you said, you're reinventing yourself. I know you've said before you really haven't wanted to be tied down to one singular promotion, kind of want to
Yeah.
just be an actual independent contractor.
Sure.
What's the goal for you at this stage of the game? Because you've done a lot on the indies, you have the biggest name on the scene. What's left to prove here for you?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. What is left to prove on the independents? I've done it all, besides just reinventing myself and becoming bigger than I was in WWE. Like, I've done everything there is to do on the indies and then some,
Yeah.
So it's what is next, right? I feel like I need to sign a contract somewhere, but at the same time, I don't want to sign a contract just to sign a contract. I don't want to
Yeah.
be on a roster just to be a guy on the roster. Been there, done that, listen, if WWE or AEW called and there was a good offer with some intent to use me a certain way, of course I'd have that conversation. But I'm not going to BS. I haven't gotten an offer from either of those companies, right?
Yeah.
So until then, I just got to keep raising my stock and elevating myself and trying to change the game on the independent level. I've said it many times. I'm not trying to pass the torch to anybody. I'm trying to light a new one for myself, and I feel like I have. But at the same time, if I could give somebody the rub or elevate somebody else, so be it. I feel like I've done a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I'm 39 years old. I'm not getting any younger. At the same time, I don't even feel like I've entered the prime of my career. So it's a challenging time because what's next, right? So I dropped this video just to kind of say like, all right, when you see me at an indie show, you're not going to see the indie god. You're not going to see the Deathmatch King. Although I am those things, you're seeing this. It's not a new Matt Cardona, right? It's just a fresh coat of paint. It's just the next chapter. And what is how long is that chapter going to be, right? In this
Yeah.
in this story of Matt Cardona, how long is this chapter? Is it a couple weeks and then I go to WWE or AEW? Is it going to be another year? Time will tell. Always ready. It's a catchphrase I use,
Yeah.
but it's the way I live my life, my career. I have to be ready for any and all opportunity. And that's why I feel like I have been able to thrive on this independent levels because, in WWE, there's only a few things I can control. Everything else is out of my hands. On the independents, I control everything. My brain does not stop. I'm working 24/7, but I love it. It doesn't feel like work. I'm doing everything I've ever wanted to do. Um, and when I'm not thinking about Matt Cardona, the wrestler, I'm doing the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, talking about wrestling figures or designing our toy line or wrestling. So like my whole life is working and working towards a goal. And it's fulfilling because I'm doing it myself. There's no boss. But at the end of the day, of course, like I don't want my career to end just wrestling in these smaller venues or these high school gyms or these ballrooms, or these breweries or these small concert halls. I want to end it
Mhm.
the big stadiums, WrestleMania, or Arthur Ashe, AEW, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to end it where I feel like I have to end it in the big leagues on a big stage.
How do you stay motivated?
It's tough. It's tough. And you know what? This injury was probably the best thing for me because not that I was getting complacent or comfortable, but maybe I was getting a little complacent or comfortable. I just contradicted myself. But like, I hate to say this, but there's no real competition on the indies. There's just no one on my level. I'm not saying people aren't talented in the ring. Of course, there's plenty of people who are better than me in the ring. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. But who want it more than me, who want to put in the effort like me, there's just not. So I don't like being this big fish in small pond. So getting injured was perfect for me. It's like, okay, you're getting too comfortable being the top dog as the indie god deathmatch. You got to switch things up. You got to change things up at least to challenge myself. Like, can I do it again? Can I go through another year being on top of the indies again? It's a challenge to me, and I love the challenge.
Who do you like? You've faced a lot of guys, you've competed in a lot of promotions, and Do you have a hit list of guys you haven't faced yet that you're like, as you go bounce around, you kind of look at what's going on? Is there anyone, or are there a list of names where you're like, okay, we have to do some business because we can make a whole lot of money here?
Well, I mean, those names are in the two companies, WWE and AEW.
Yeah.
Even right now, TNA is great. I love TNA. I'm not signed there. I'm just there, handshake agreement. The roster there is awesome. The roster there
Mhm.
is hungry. But I've wrestled most of the guys there. Even Jordan Grace, I wrestled Jordan Grace there. So I feel like I've
Right.
wrestled a lot of those people. But there's people in WWE or AEW who I've never wrestled, like Roman Reigns. Of course, I'm going for the
Yeah.
top, or Kenny Omega, right? But guys I'd love to wrestle again, like Cody Rhodes, again, go for the top, or Christian Cage. I wrestled Adam Copeland, Edge, this past year for AEW. Again,
Hmm.
being always ready. It was a match that just kind of happened, and I was ready to go. But just coming out, I got holy shit chance on my entrance, and just to be in this jam-packed arena, I'm like, this is where I need to be. And wrestling Adam Copeland, he was my dream match, but we had never wrestled before. Of course, like, we had history as the Edgeheads, but we were in there. It felt like I wrestled 100 times, because I was a student of the game, literally was an Edgehead, watching him put together matches, watching him from ringside. Super happy about that night, super proud of that night, but again, made me even hungrier to get back to jam-packed arenas, get back to live television.
I talked to Adam about a month ago, and he just loved that match.
Oh,
Just because,
I'm glad to hear it.
because he was like, people didn't see it coming,
Yeah.
and look at the buzz it generated. Like you look
Oh
at
yeah.
AEW, and this isn't a knock on AEW at all. A lot of great people at AEW. But when you're coming out, you're generating 1.5 million views in a short amount of time on Twitter. You're doing something right, and that showed that move at that time was the right decision, and it created a lot of noise. And people thought, could this be the beginning of Matt Cardona? But you're still doing your thing, so
Listen,
it
I
shows
mean, when I
you are a draw.
when I came out and I got holy shit, I have goosebumps right now. Think about it. Holy shit chance on my entrance. It made me think, oh my God, okay, everything I've been doing these past 4 years, it's working. It has worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought for sure after that match, A, awesome kick-ass match. B, great response from the fans. C, social numbers were up. I thought, I'm definitely getting a call. I'm definitely getting an offer. Phone never rang. What
I
can I
find
do?
it I
You
find it
know?
so odd.
I mean, so do I.
I
So
just
do I, to
don't.
be honest. But what can I do? Phone never rang. First time when I was in AEW, right after my release, did stuff with Cody, some stuff with
Mhm.
the Dark Order, had the number one shirt of the week. Uh, Again, never offered anything. At the time, I was devastated. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. Looking back, that was a blessing in disguise because I was able to go out in the indies,
Mhm.
find myself, find GCW, even TNA, getting my feet wet there, finding myself who Matt Cardona was. And then obviously GCW, the Deathmatch, really found out who Matt Cardona was. So blessing in disguise, I did not get offered anything in AEW the first time, but shocked I did not after that match with Adam Copeland. But it is what it is. You got to keep moving forward.
How do you not be upset? Because like you said, all these positive things happen, and it's like it makes too much sense, and yet here we are, and that ends up happening. So it's just one of those head scratchers of like you're doing all the right things, and yet this isn't happening.
Listen, I mean, I'll be completely honest. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like I've done everything there is to do. I
Yeah.
am legit shocked. I've not gotten an offer from any company. And that's not me being egotistical. That's me being like realistic. Like I've done all there is. Like, what else can I possibly do? You
Mhm.
know, but I can't let this run be fueled by bitterness or negativity. It
Mhm.
was never it was never, oh, I got to prove people wrong. It was never that. It was, I got to prove myself right. I got to prove my fans right. And I feel like I have done that. But I think the second, you get bitter, the second you get angry
Yeah.
is where like you lose yourself. And I'm not going to let this run be fueled by negativity. I'm going to let it be fueled by, like I said, trying to prove myself right. And I feel like I have, but there's more to prove and prove my fans right. And I feel like I have, but there's more to prove.
How much of a support system has your wife been through through all of this, the good, the bad, and the ugly?
I mean, she's been there from the moment I got called
Yeah.
saying I got fired. And at that time, it needed to happen. WWE had offered pretty much everybody new contracts a year before I got fired because AEW was starting up. They'd offered everybody big new deals, 5-year deals, big money. I didn't sign it because I didn't know. Even then, I'm like, I don't know if I want to stay here. Like I see how the company sees me. And of course, I've gotten thrown a bone every once in a while. And luckily, I'm always ready. I capitalize as much as I can. But I saw where my career was going there. I didn't know if I wanted to stay. I didn't know if I wanted to go. The anxiety, it weighed on me for a whole year. And then I got fired. It was like, oh my God, like they made a decision for me. Thank God. I needed that. It was just this like, oh, I needed that. And it took me a while to find myself because we were in the middle of this pandemic, not even the middle, the very beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
There was no independence to do. There was nowhere to go. I did the cup of coffee in AEW. It didn't work out. There was I wasn't even wrestling. I was just sitting. Luckily, I had the Major Wrestling podcast, but there was nowhere to wrestle. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, what am I going to do with it? I need something to jumpstart and restart my career. Luckily, Impact TNA Wrestling gave me a chance. And once I got there, the world started to open back up slowly but surely. I found GCW. I had that death match with Nick Gage. Chelsea was a supporter the whole time. She gets let go. And then she joins me on the indies, and man, that's where we fucking hit the ground running, you know? And when she left the indies to go back to WWE, it wasn't even a conversation like should she go back, should she not? She had to go back.
Yeah.
She never really got a taste the first time. Like she was there, but was she there? Like maybe she was on like the roster page, but like she didn't do anything, like she needed to go back and be the star that I knew that she could be, and the star I think she knew she could be. And now look at her.
Killing it.
She's killing it, absolutely killing it. So I'm super proud of her, super happy for her. And we're doing our own thing separately. Hopefully one day we're together on the same roster. But until then, we just got to keep, she'll do her thing, I'll do my thing, and both be as successful as possible, both be as supportive as the other one as possible.
That's always find that the key to a successful marriage is
Yeah, well,
just be supportive, say I love
yeah.
you, and there you go. And
Yeah.
it's
So like even like, for like, I'm not going to be the guy going to these WWE shows if I'm not booked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be the guy walking around backstage because I was there for 15 years. I saw when the guys came back, and I'm like, oh, this guy's back again. He's looking for a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never wanted to be, I never wanted one person to think, oh, is this guy looking for a job? And maybe they wouldn't be thinking that, but I didn't want that situation to ever happen. So,
yeah.
like Money in the Bank, um, I went and I watched it from a private suite upstairs, to watch her because her big moments, I somehow, some way find a moment to get there. Like when she won the tag team titles, somebody on the inside snuck me back so I could watch it, and then I got the hell out of there.
Hey,
But
that's
yeah, you're not going to see Matt Cardona backstage and catering unless I have a contract.
hey, I think that's a smart way to play it.
Yeah.
And do you feel, because you talked about, you'd get thrown a bone here and there, and you're about when you were sure you weren't going to sign a new deal, and then you got released. I always feel like in cases like yourself, I feel like if it was under the regime that we see right now, I don't think that what happened to you would happen, and you'd get more bones than I think you would even want to admit. Do you feel that to be the case? This regime would know how to use a Matt Cardona compared to the Vince McMahon regime?
Honestly, I don't know because I'm not there, so I can't compare something
Yeah,
that's non-existent. I will say this, I am not the person who puts blame on others. So I would never be the guy who says they buried me or they held me down.
yeah,
I want to take all the accountability. There was something then that I was missing, or I didn't knock on Vince McMahon's door and ask, hey, what's going on here? I blame myself for that. I never wanted, you see it all the time. These
yeah.
legends, old timers, blaming their problems, on everybody else. And of course, they're superstars, but so and so held them down. I will never be that guy. If there's a reason Matt Cardona succeeds, it's because of Matt Cardona. If there's a reason Matt Cardona fails or Zack Ryder, it's because of me. I'll never give anybody else the power over me. Never.
That's a fresh thing to hear because you don't hear that enough in wrestling.
You don't hear it enough. I'll tell you that.
Humbleness is one thing, and accountability. I've always, even covering boxing and MMA, I always find, even in that realm, none of wrestlers, boxers, guys in the UFC, it's not their fault. It's always someone else's. And I just like, I just want to be like, no.
You're not going to find that with me, because honestly,
think about
whether or not it truly is my fault or not, I'm still going to take the blame, because I want to be in control of everything. I want to be able to look myself in the mirror today, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, and be real with myself. So I'd rather take the blame than make up these excuses in my head. Oh yeah, you could have done this, but so-and-so held you down. Bullshit. That's how I feel. I'm going to make it. And, I put this in that post when I said when I posted the video, I said, this is not over until I quit, and I'm never going to quit. So as far as I'm concerned, we got a lot more left in the tank, a lot more ups and downs for Matt Cardona.
Hey,
there's going to be downs. No career is just up. There's going to be downs. Even in this 4-year run, there's been some downs. I got injured twice, but it is what it is.
I was thinking about this recently in regard to when you came back, and then you were talking about no more of the Deathmatch King and so on and so forth. And when you have that match with Nick, it exploded. You were the #1 trend, out trending a major UFC pay-per-view, and I'm like, there's something here, because and this isn't a knock on wrestling. Wrestling shouldn't be outdoing on a Saturday night at 11 Eastern. Should not be the #1 trend in the entire world. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then I watch this and I'm like, holy Christ, I remember ordering it on, which is now a trailer, but it was Fight TV at the time. And I'm like, holy shit.
Hey, listen, not to toot my own horn.
Never expected, my mind then was still Zack Ryder. My mind really fully wasn't on Matt Cardona. Seeing that.
Nobody's was.
And I hate playing what if and looking back. Not a big fan of retrospect. I'm going to ask it anyway. If that moment doesn't happen,
I'm not here right now talking to you. That match, let's go back for a second. A, let me correct you. Trended over UFC and the Olympics. Okay.
And the Olympics. B, my apologies.
B, this wasn't AEW, WWE. It's an independent wrestling show. Okay. Let's just say that. But let's take another step back. I'm approached to do this match. My first reaction is hell no. My gut reaction, my knee-jerk reaction is no way. I'm not wrestling this criminal, this deathmatch guy. He was just on Dark Side of the Ring at the time, like almost killed David Arquette. I'm like, I'm not going to wrestle this garbage, trash, deathmatch stuff. And then I took a step back and said, wait a minute, hold on a second. People are going to want to see Zack Ryder, the woo-woo guy, get carved up by Nick Gage and his pizza cutter. I said, I have to do this. And if I'm going to do it, I'm not just going to dip my toe. I'm going to do a fucking cannonball into this deathmatch pool. I'm going to be all in. And if you watch that match, which you did, this isn't a glorified street fight. This isn't some no DQ stuff. We don't take out a little door. This is a death match. Light tubes, pizza cutter, panes of glass. I went all in. I got the scars to prove it. But that match, not only did it change my career, it changed my life. If it wasn't for that match, I would not be sitting here today. I would just be another guy on the indies. My rate would probably be a lot less than it was 4 years ago. Because that's what normally happens. You get fired from WWE, you do the loop, then the second time you do the loop, it's a little less, and you have less interest, your price drops. My stock has risen and gets bigger. My rates go up. Everything is going up. And that's because I'm working my ass off, right? But if that match doesn't happen, there's no way I'm here today.
You made so much money. I remember you did some interview. I remember you were talking on the podcast of you cut pieces of the shirt. You put them in.
I wonder if I could. I'm going to see if I can move my screen if you could see it. You see it up there? It's like
I
a picture of
see
me
IC title.
next to it, next to the IC title thing.
Ah, yes, yes,
See
yes,
that?
yes, yes.
So, okay.
Yes. I
So
see it.
that is because I'm a collector, I'm a wrestling fan. I knew I was gonna get a little bloody, of course. So I'm like, I'll wear this white shirt, white jeans, got a couple trickles of blood on it. It'll be cool. My shirt was maroon. Okay. You couldn't
Yes.
find a piece of white on that shirt.
Yeah.
I said, I can't just like sell this shirt on like, what am I sell for? Like $500 on like eBay or something. No, this means something. It has to mean something. And again, if I don't treat something like a big deal, it's not a big deal. Perception is reality. So, of course, being a diehard fan, there's these WrestleMania plaques. They come out every year. They take a piece of the ring canvas, a nice 8x10 of the guy. They sign it. They put it on the plaque, whatever, one of 150, 250, whatever. I found that company. I explained what I wanted. I sent them the shirt. I signed all the pictures. I made over 20 grand on that t-shirt. And that's just on that shirt. I also sold the pants, sold the gloves, sold the boots, sold the elbow pads, sold the knee pads. I think I have one, two, three action figures from that match and two more coming. I mean, listen, that doesn't happen every time. Of course not. This was a very
No.
special match, a very special evening. But I knew I was going to capitalize. And to this day, I'm still capitalizing on that match with, not just this independent run, but with merchandise from that match. It's crazy.
You haven't done one of those since. And I
I have
have to
not.
add, will you ever do one of those again?
No, I've done in NWA. I did an NWA version of a death match
Yeah.
with EC3. It wasn't the same. It was violent. There was blood. I also did a tag team death match, myself and Steph DeLander versus Nick Gage and Maki Ito.
Remember that?
Again,
Yeah. Not
not the
close.
same. It was called a tag team death match, but it really wasn't. But there's no way I'm gonna do what I did with Nick again because I'll never top it. I'll never top that buzz. I'll never top that magic. And that match was just perfect for me. It did so much for my career, did so much for my life. And to this day, there's haters online or people to my face. You're not the deathmatch king. You've only had one. Well, guys, that's the heat. Come on. Are you
Exactly.
that stupid?
It's the
I thought you
gimmick.
were a smart mark. You're a dumb mark, actually. Because that's
That's
the
what I was gonna
heat.
say.
That's
If
the
you can't,
gimmick.
that is the heat. That is the gimmick. And did they give you? We were talking. Did they give you a newfound respect for Nick? Because like that's all Nick was known for was this big death match guy. He nearly killed David Arquette. He had the thing with Moxley. They got widely criticized in that match on Dynamite. And did you have a newfound more respect for him coming out of that, or the reputation
100%.
kind of expected?
100% way more respect. And not just him, but everybody who does that style of wrestling. Because now that GCW, it was supposed to be 3 shows. I was supposed to come in, lay Nick out, win the title, lose. That's it. But from that first night, we all knew, oh shit, we got something here. And
Yeah.
especially after that second night, we're like, I'm never leaving this fucking place. You know what I'm saying? And to see the evolution of Matt Cardona in GCW, I was just injured. I was just the general manager. You know
Yes,
what I'm
that was
saying?
brilliant.
So like
Brilliant.
to me, I came in as an outsider, but right now I'm fucking GCW. You know what I'm saying? Remember the old school, like when the ECW guys jumped the barricade at Raw in like
Yes.
97? If
Yes.
GCW jumps the barricade on Raw, I'm leading the charge. I am
There we go.
GCW. And I think the fans know that. I think the locker room knows that. I think the management there knows that. And I know it. I love GCW. They changed my career. They changed my life. They put me on the map. I also think I put them on the map, but we need each other. We definitely do. And to answer your question, I got so much respect for Nick. That night, that death match, I remember being in the ring and his music played. And we're what? We're in the Showboat Casino in Atlantic City, New
Yeah.
Jersey. Maybe 2,000 people max. I couldn't, my ears were ringing from the response from the people chanting for this man on his entrance. You feel that connection. Oh man, I gotta plug in my battery.
You're good, Matt. You're good. You're good. You're
Plug in
good.
I'm not always ready. Hold on a second.
You're good. You're good.
Sorry about that. My charger unplugged when I was showing you that big 8x10.
I've done that. Trust me, that definitely sucks. And
Yeah.
but you were talking about how even though it fit about 2,000 people, it was as loud as like a
The
10,000
atmosphere, the connection. That's what we do this. That at least that's what we should be doing. We should be doing this for the connection with the audience.
Yeah.
I'm not saying have a bad match, but I'm not saying the moves don't matter, but the moments matter. The connection matters. And the connection Nick Gage has with that audience to be in that ring and feel it. I'm like, okay, this guy, he's got it. He's got the it factor, that connection. And then to see what these deathmatch wrestlers do, I give them so much credit in the world. There's no way I could do it every single weekend. I give them so much respect, and there's an art form and there's a craft, and I respect the hell out of all of them.
What is JBL doing? He's been
That's a great question.
He's been in GCW, MLW, TNA. I'm missing GCW.
He did AAA. He did OVW,
AAA,
MLW.
Yeah. What's he doing? And GCW, didn't even see that one come. I was like, wait, what? What? Who?
Yeah,
what?
I mean, listen, I don't know what he's doing. I love it. I think it's great. I think he knows what he's doing. He's getting buzz. He's getting people talking about him. In wrestling, especially independent wrestling, without buzz, you're nothing. The buzz keeps you alive. I'm addicted to buzz. I'm chasing that buzz. I do something, I give myself a pat in the back, and then I'm trying to chase the next big thing,
Yeah.
So this video that I dropped Monday, it's gonna be some buzz. What, until like next week? Then I gotta find something else. This business is very, what have you done for me lately? I can't be like, I'm Zach. I used to be Zack Ryder in WWE. I won the Intercontinental. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
What am I doing for you right now? But back to JBL, he's got people talking, so he's doing something right.
Do you feel you talk about what are you doing for me now, society? And I always feel it's a double-edged sword, at least to me. It's like great work should be appreciated and be talked about. But yet, like you said, the attention span of, unfortunately, this world is very minute and it's on to the next thing. Do you find it at all frustrating, or do you feel that's gratifying because that means you have to get more creative?
I think it's a little bit of both for sure. I also think it's because the wrestling business is so hot and it's full of so many talented individuals. The talent pool has never been deeper. There's never been as many talented people as there have been right now in the business. And I'm not talking just WWE, AEW, TNA, GCW. They're everywhere, all over the world, independents, you name it. So the competition is the highest it's ever been. So you can't, as a wrestler, unless you're like from the Attitude Era and you're like a throwback and you're a legend, you can't rest on what you did last month or last year. At least I can't. Because especially on the indies, I'm competing with everybody who's trying to make a name for themselves. And to me, I'm also competing with guys on AEW, with guys in WWE. I'm watching everything. I'm competing with them because, I'm social media, that's my TV time, right? So I'm competing with whatever WWE's posting about Cody. I'm competing with whatever Drew's posting about CM Punk. But if Drew doesn't want to post about CM Punk, WWE's going to post about Drew. He could take a couple of days off. WWE's going to post about him. If I don't post about myself, I don't fucking exist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why if you go to my social media, it's just flooding with content, throwing stuff in your face. You might not watch it all, but you know what I'm doing. I'm around. I'm the indie god. You might never have seen one of my matches, but I'm the indie god.
I talked to Jeff Hardy. Yeah, I talked to the Hardys yesterday, and I asked that question to Matt and Jeff, and because Jeff doesn't post, like he wasn't posting a lot,
right?
And he gave a roundabout that same because I noticed he's been a little more active since he's gone to TNA,
and there's certain guys. There's certain guys who are like the exception to the rule that don't need to post. I think Jeff is one of those guys. Like you look at Jeff Hardy, and I see him in TNA. I'm not like stalking him. I'm just looking at him, putting on his paint. I'm like, this guy's so fucking cool. This guy's just a superstar. This guy doesn't need to tweet that he's going to the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy doesn't need to post his highlights from the weekend. He's a fucking star. Or a guy like Moxley. Moxley doesn't need to fucking post. He's fucking John Moxley. He's that fucking aura, that connection.
He doesn't do anything. And I asked him that before, and he's like, he kindly he roundabout way said that to me, and he was like, I can tell you want to say this is who I am, kid. I
Right.
don't have to do this. But it's
Right.
just like I leave that to Renee. I don't need to really do that. I want to go lift. I want to do jujitsu,
Yeah.
and I want to play
And
with
I
my
respect the
daughter.
hell out of that. I cannot do that. I used the internet over a decade ago to make Zack Ryder a thing. That's what I'm known for. You call myself the internet, you can call me or I call myself the internet champion. I still believe I am. But
You go,
my whole backbone is the internet and being self-made and, self-promotion. So
yeah.
if I don't do it, no one's going to do it for me. So, do you think I want to be posting as many times as I'm fucking posting? Of course not. Think I want to be on my phone constantly? Of course not. But if I don't do it, I don't exist.
A couple more questions, Matt, and thank you so much for the
No, go
extended time
ahead.
today. I
Let's
didn't
go.
even
This is great.
realize we were going that long. I just looked at
We're
my
good.
phone. I was
Hey,
like,
we're,
whoa,
we're
whoa.
we're flowing. We're feeling it. Let's go.
It's greatly appreciated. And we were talking about GCW, and where do you? For a while, I thought they were number 3, and then you see TNA going on this big run here since they brought back the name in January and everything they've done. Where is GCW in the North American landscape right now?
I have to agree with you there. TNA has really done a 180, and I'm so happy for them because I started with TNA beginning of 2021 when it was Impact, and I just saw like the hungry locker room. I saw everybody backstage behind the scenes who cared so much, and I'm like, this once this company gets over that like LOL TNA, once they get rid of that stink, and how funny is it that LOL TNA they needed the TNA name back? It was so long that
Yeah.
it became nostalgic, right? And people remember the early TNA. They didn't remember. They didn't want to think about the horrible, what people associate with the TNA, LOL TNA era. They wanted the glory days of TNA, the old logo, and to see how well they're doing now. The house is being up, the shows being phenomenal, kick-ass rosters. Of course, the NXT collaboration is a big deal. But I love what TNA is doing. Such a hungry locker room. But back to GCW, nobody AEW included, puts on as many shows as GCW does a year. They are running every single week, multiple shows all over the world. Uh, and it's a true independent. There's no backer, there's no financial backer. I can bust Brett Lauderdale's balls all day long, but he's the one booking the hotels, booking the flights, doing this all. It's a one-man show. And of course, there's people who help a little bit. This is a truly independent promotion for what they've accomplished, for how small they are. It's a testament to the hard work of everybody involved, the diehard fans included. And I think GCW is going to have a major announcement coming up soon. I mean, fuck, I know what it is, but I'm not going to spill the beans here. So,
Man, no one's really gonna watch this video. No one's gonna read
right.
this article, just this article on Sports Illustrated. It's not a
Yeah.
website that's really too important. You can just
Yeah.
you can
So
talk.
I'm going to let GCW spill the beans on that one, but there's something very, very big in the works. And I'm super proud to be a part of GCW. And it makes me proud. Like when, I hate to see anybody lose their jobs or, but when people get released or leave major companies and they want to go to GCW to make their name because they're following what I did,
Mhm.
no, whether it be Jeff Jarrett or Nemeth or Jinder,
Yeah.
Danhausen, they all want to go to GCW to get that buzz, but they're going there because I got that buzz there.
Understand what is going on with Dan House. That kind of just here's a guy who
He's
in
printed
ways he
money.
reminds
He's
me of
printed
you.
money. I see Danhausen at these shows. He is printed money. So if anyone's not taking advantage of that and printing money for themselves, then I don't know what they're doing.
I scratch my head because it's like you. I don't guys like you and him just don't fall from the trees. They don't just
Right.
miraculously fall down and say, "Hey, I'm creative. I can make you a ton of money. Let's go do it." And yet it's like, oh, well, okay. Sure.
Right. And, I see what Danhausen's doing right now. He could easily
Killing
just
it.
sit home, collect that check from AEW and say, all right, I'm still getting paid. But he says, fuck that. He goes out there, he keeps his name alive. He's making extra money. He's making a connection with the audience. He he takes his career very, very seriously. So he's out there busting his ass. I see him all over the place.
Yeah.
He's out there just as much as me when he really doesn't have to be. He's getting a check every week for a
Mhm.
company that doesn't use him. But he wants more, and I respect the hell out of that.
you know, I loved seeing Jinder come up in
Yeah.
GCW. That was like one of those where he had promoted. I think no, I'm gonna take that back. He just came out of nowhere, then
Yeah.
he started promoting, and I'm like, that's the spot. Because
I
there's
mean,
so much there, and yet was untapped potential.
sure. A former WWE champion standing foot in a GCW ring, like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
As successful as I was in WWE, I wasn't a WWE champion, So to have a WWE champion in a GCW ring, it's just proof that GCW is the place to be on the independent level.
Where do you see the remainder of 2024 for yourself? There's right now we're near the end of September. We're gonna have about 3 months left of the year. Where do you
Yeah.
see this fourth quarter for yourself?
Well, I dropped this video. Hopefully, it gets some more buzz, and hopefully, I can, take advantage of that buzz. But my calendar before this video is filled till 2025, so I know exactly where I'm going to be, right? But it's more so like, okay, what can I do with these shows, right? If I treat, like, for instance, I just did a show a couple weeks ago at the Mall of America for First Wrestling. If I would have just treated that like whatever, Saturday night show, independent show, and that was it, then that's all it would have been. It would have been a Saturday night show in Minnesota. But I treated it like a big fucking deal. The show was weeks ago. I'm still putting out content from that show. So I
Yeah,
have to make every show as big as it possibly can be, because if I don't make it important, some fan who's not going to the show is not going to even know about it. It's not going to be important. So if I don't
yeah,
make everything I do seem important, then it's not important. So my goal is to make every single show that I'm on as big as possible. Obviously, sometimes I hit home runs, sometimes it doesn't, the traction just not there. But my goal is like, how can I make this night as big as possible? And that's my goal moving forward for the rest of the year, whether it be TNA, GCW, a random indie that, in the middle of nowhere, USA. If I'm on that show, I'm going to treat it like it's WrestleMania, because that's at least for me, that's what makes me tick.
yeah,
I don't want to just go through the motions.
exactly.
Like what's the point? If we're just gonna go through the motions, get the fuck out of the business, in my opinion.
I love when you came out of the Ghostbusters car because my kids
Oh,
are me and my family are very big fans of Ghostbusters.
me
And when
too.
you
Yeah.
and Steph came out, and I'm like, I showed my older like, look at this, and he's like, holy crap, I didn't know wrestlers were doing this, Dad. And I'm
Well, they're
like,
not. I'm doing it.
there's only one.
There's
And
only one, baby. And it's
that
funny
was
you say
really
that, because that
awful.
was last year. That was
Yeah.
the tag team death match with me and Steph against Maki and Nick Gage. And I told myself that this guy, I rented the Ecto one for a day, was not cheap,
Mm-mm.
And listen, I don't, if there's any young independent wrestlers listening to this, I don't recommend doing this often, but there are plenty of times I spend more money on my gear and my entrance than I do getting paid, because it will
Yeah.
pay off tenfold. It's an investment into myself. I hate to say the word brand, but it's investment into the brand, But when I did that Ecto One entrance, I talked to the guy. I said, "What other cars do you got?" And he ran
Yeah.
through the list. He's like, "Oh, I got the Jurassic Park Jeep." I said, "Well, if I'm still on the fucking Indies next year, I'm coming out with that Jeep." And that's what happened. And last August, my return match, I came out in the Jeep.
I
I
remember that.
bought this
Yeah.
awesome entrance gear. I made an awesome video for it. I spent way more on that entrance and that gear than I got paid. But then I also dropped an exclusive action figure in that gear that night, like a history making thing. No one's ever been able to do that, WWE, AEW included. So hopefully I'll make up the money, in the back end. But even if I don't, it's like, if people are talking, who's this fucking guy driving a Jurassic Park Jeep to an independent show? Oh, that's Matt Cardona. Who's Matt Cardona? He used to be Zach. What fuck? And then you find a new fan. Or someone who's a fan, you make them an even bigger fan.
So what's the plan for this Halloween?
What's the plan for what? I'm sorry.
What's the plan for this Halloween then? What you got? I already imagine you got something cooked up because I know you're booked.
So I don't know exactly what's going to happen yet. I always have like a bunch of gear like ready to go, always ready, right, just in case for the situation. But we we now I'm doing stuff with TNA, I'm doing stuff with GCW. I'm going to Germany a couple times in October. So I'm going to Hawaii for the first time for GCW. GCW's going to Hawaii at
Yes,
the end of
sir.
October, early November. But like I said, I'm just going to keep every opportunity and treat every opportunity like it's the biggest thing going right now. Because if I don't invest in myself, if I don't treat myself like a star, then I can't expect anybody else to. So just keep being laser focused on the path of just getting back to where I think I belong, a major TV company in front of sold out houses. That's where Matt Cardona belongs, and I'm going to do whatever I can to get there.
Is that advice you give to the young guys and girls in the back? What you just said?
People come up to me all the time, and I just did a seminar too about, I'm not going to teach you how to do wrestling moves. I'm not passionate about that, but if someone asks me like, how can I get better at social media or how can I market myself better? I'm not saying I know everything. I clearly don't, right? If I knew everything, I'd be back in WWE or AEW. I'm doing something wrong, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I'm also doing a lot right where I've been able to keep this going for 4 years outside the machine and elevating myself each and every year. So, like I said, if somebody takes time to ask me a question, I'll do the best I can to help them out and give them advice, whether it be watch their match or give them merchandise advice or social media advice. This isn't, like I said, I'm not trying to pass the torch, but if I can help people along the way, so be it. I want to leave the independents better than when I came.
What was the scene like? I know you talked about COVID, and were you following the indies at all before you got released, or was it like, yeah, you knew it was there, but you really weren't giving it too much thought in your mind?
Yeah, like I knew it was there, and I knew the bigger names and the bigger promotions, but admittedly, I wasn't following it too much, and even like my first round of doing the indies, I was like, there's got to be a better way than this. Like at least how I was
Yeah.
handling myself, because I was just doing what everyone else was doing. For instance, if you were booking me for the Sports Illustrated Wrestling Federation, right? Like you'd book me,
Yeah.
you or one of your minions would come pick me up from the airport. I'd have to sit with you or one of your minions for 4 or 5 hours for the show. Even that is like, after doing that once or twice, like, oh, fuck that. I'm just renting my own car, do my own thing. I'll meet the cost, fuck that. But then I'm like, how come no one's really like, they do the merch table, but no one's really treating this like an opportunity to A, make money and B, make a real connection with the audience. Of course, I'm not saying nobody was selling merch, but no one was doing it how I was doing it. Like you come to a Matt Cardona merch table, it's like you're at the fucking mall. Like you have $5, I got this. You got $10, I got this. You got $50, oh, it's a premium item, I got this. So I quickly realized like there's a lot of money to be made on just the merchandise meet and greet element that a lot of people still to this day, even though I fucking give away all my secrets, they still don't do it, which blows my mind. But I knew very early on that the connection with the audience was more important than the matches. And the connection could be one of two ways. They love you or they hate you. If you walk out through a curtain and they're indifferent, that's when you're screwed.
Where can fans find you the next couple weeks?
Man, I will be at TNA this weekend. Next weekend, I will be in Germany. I post my schedule. I'm all over the place. Just follow me on social media. You'll see my schedule. Yeah, watch that video if you haven't already. It's pinned to my Instagram and my X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. It's I think if you're a Matt Cardona fan, you'll love it. If you're not a Matt Cardona fan, maybe you'll become one. If not, hey, hate my guts, but give me the view, baby.
I always say that. I was having this conversation last week with Nigel McGuinness. I always say, I don't give a flying hoot what you think about me on social media.
Right.
As long as you're reading,
Sure.
watching,
right.
listening, I don't give a flying crap.
That's
as long
right.
as you're doing one of those three things, as long as you ain't talking about my kids or my wife,
right.
Give a flying fuck.
As long as you're talking about me, good or bad, you're talking about me.
And as I say, my wife doesn't get that. I always try to tell her, good buzz, doesn't matter what the buzz is,
right.
As long as they're talking about you.
That's right. 100%.
Because I always know my check, as long as it's going to hit my checking account once a month. I'm not worried about it.
Right.
I keep talking.
That's right.
But Matt, we have not talked since when you were in AEW, they had set up an interview. And this has been when you had your 5-match run, we had talked for about maybe 10, 15 minutes. So this was great to get some extended time.
A lot has changed. I'm a totally different person from that interview.
Because I rewatched it today. I rewatched it this morning.
Oh my God. I'd probably cringe watching it.
I always like watching just because, okay, it was so long ago. I already know a lot, but it's like, maybe there's something. It was that long. I was like, man, that's a completely different game from the COVID era, if you want to call it that, to what we're getting right now in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like when I got fired from WWE, I could not have predicted what my next. I hate to use the phrase "next chapter." People overuse
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying? I hate to, but I didn't know what was next, and it took me about a year to find myself. And it was thanks to that death match where I really found myself because that one independent wrestling show in Atlantic City, New Jersey, because of social media, because of streaming, the fans saw a different side of me where they saw Zack Ryder was dead. This is Matt Cardona. And some people didn't like Matt Cardona, and it took a while for the snowball effect. I'd come to a random indie. Oh, after that death match, maybe 25% of the people are booing me and flipping me off. Then the next time, 30%, then 50%. Then now I come out, middle fingers in my face. But now it's almost coming full circle where they hate me so much that they love me. So it's like, what am I doing here? So this indie run, I could not. The day I got fired, if you would have said, all right, you are going to win the NWA World title, you're gonna have this death match with Nick Gage, you're gonna create your own action figure line, you're gonna wrestle Edge, but he's gonna be called Adam Copeland in AEW. Like all these things have happened, and it's all because I hate to sound cliche, but I'm always ready. Any opportunity that comes my way, I will knock it out of the park because if I don't, like we said earlier, it's on me, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure that I am a superstar in this game. And like I said earlier, like I put in that social media post, this is not over until I quit, and there's no way I'm fucking quitting.
I love that. We'll end with it. I'm gonna find a way to put that in the titles. So I think that
Sorry about
ending
the
is.
fuck.
I think it is brilliant. I can put a hyphen and we'll be good to go. Matt, it's been way too long. Thank you so much for the extended time today. It means a lot. It is greatly appreciated.
This flew by. This was a wild one. Sean Ross Sapp's gonna get a lot of clickbait ones out of this one.
Oh, he likes to do that often, but I always think Sean because he's got a great team.
Yeah,
me and him are friends, so I always tell him I'll like send him a little note like, man, you guys I literally just posted this about 15 minutes ago and you guys already got something up. He's like,
there you go. Yeah, I mean, you're doing a good job though.
Yeah, he's got a great team. I'm a better writer than he is, but I'll let him break it. He can break the news. I'll do the writing. I'll do the feature writing. But no, Matt, it's been way too long. Thank you for the time. Have a great rest of the day. I look forward to seeing you in TNA. You're going to be seeing the Hardys this weekend.
Yeah, and then I'm also wrestling Nick Nemeth, TNA World Champ. Maybe I'm walking out TNA World Champion. You never know.
Just talked to Nick about a month ago. It's good. You guys got to have a reunited.
That might be the last time you're talking to him as the TNA World Champ.
That was about a month ago. That was before he faced whatever. God, these shows all blend together. When he wrestled, I think it was Moose when he defended against Moose at Victory Road. So
got it.
How is Steph doing? Really quickly, how is Steph doing? I know she announced that she's having neck surgery and she's going to be out.
The last I heard, she's meeting with the surgeon. Hopefully, she gets that surgery done. And she's back in action. I don't want to speak for her. I don't even know the exact timetable. But Steph is somebody who, as much as I know that I've helped her in her career, she helped me as well. When Chelsea went back to WWE, I knew I was missing something because she was a big part of my act. It was Chelsea and having someone at ringside. But I can't just go get like another love interest. First of all, I'm fucking married. It won't make sense, but I need, you can't repeat the same thing. You need something different. You need something to top it. Eric Bischoff says like greater than, less than, like different than, right? He says something like that. I might have butchered. Sorry, Eric, if I butchered your phrase, but I knew having Steph by my side was different than.
Yeah.
And I saw her in Australia, 6 feet tall, these weird jewels on her fucking teeth, piercings, tattoos, blonde bangs. Like, who are you? And are you signed anywhere? She said, no. Yeah. I said, 1 second. Called Chelsea. Are you cool if I ask this girl to travel the world with me? She said, yes. I'm like, you're coming with me.
That's a great wife. Because a lot of women would not be like that.
Sure. And I just knew there was something there. Luckily, she ended up being a very, very hard worker. I had no idea if she was going to be a hard worker. I knew nothing about her. I just knew, I'm like, can you throw a baby powder? Can you choke? That's what I need you for. But, that started in Australia. And then I'm like, okay, well, the next weekend, I got GCW. I got all these other things. Of course, these promoters are not just going to book some random girl. But I was so confident this was going to work that I bought her flights. I paid whatever. I'm like, what's your rate? I paid her rate. I paid her fee. I paid her hotels. I paid her food for
Oh, wow.
months because I'm like, this is going to, I need this. I need
Yeah.
this heater. I need you to work. I need you and us to work. Every week we spent hundreds of dollars filming these vignettes that we would drop on social media just to bombard people with this new act. And now it's like she does her own thing, I do my own thing, and like we have that connection. But for a while, we had to force it down people's throats. I mean, we were on the cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated,
I
you know,
remember that.
like
Yeah.
all because we forced it down everyone's throats that we're an item and we're here to take over the indies. And that's exactly what we did. So I can't wait for her to come back. And I'm not happy that she's married to PCO in TNA, but that's a different story.
Man, that's free. Now you can get your own heater and you can have a tag team.
See,
Tag team match.
it writes
They're
itself.
stealing her from you.
That's right. Exactly.
Ah, that PCO. Well, you could take care of him in an interview. You'll see him in
That's the
TNA.
goal.
But you could see Matt Cardona this weekend in Spartanburg, South Carolina for TNA as he takes on the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Nemeth. The Hardys will also be at the show this coming weekend. And then you'll be in Germany the following week. So Germany, make sure you drink some German beer. I don't know if you
I
are a
will,
German beer
sure.
fan. So make sure you do drink some German beer because it is amazing, and eat the food. Have some sausage. Sausage
Yes.
is fantastic. But Matt, I look forward to this sometime in the future. Have a great rest of the 2024, and we'll talk in the future, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you for the interview. It was great. A lot of fun.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
See you, dude.